Players are back on campus and gearing up for fall camp. What are they doing to prepare for the big season ahead? And who is taking the lead in the locker room? Eric Nalin, owner of Inside Texas, is back to update us on the goings-ons inside the program. If you want to stay in the know on your favorite team, then you know where to be. Subscribe to InsideTexas.com today. Link in the description. So, with the season on the horizon, why are the coaches confident Texas could make a big jump this year? Without further ado, let's get into it. What's up, Eric? And players are back on campus and getting conditioned for fall camp. So what do those workouts actually look like? And what's the energy like as the guys return to the everyday grind?
The focus right now is building up for August camp. And, it's hot in Texas and it's hot in those first few games of September. Recall that Alabama game in the scorching heat. So it's all about getting ready for that. Whatever you can do to get ready for August in the first 4 or 5 games. That's a lot of conditioning outside. That's a lot of explosive work. They're not necessarily looking to add muscle right now. That was done in the winter. This time of year, it's hard to put on muscle anyways if you're expending all these calories outside. So it's a lot of running, a lot of lifting. The Friday workout sounds more like a track workout than it does a football workout. Now, they incorporate football movements to it, but it's a lot of long sprints. It's very intense. Those guys don't look forward to Friday, but it's all about getting ready for the season. And, I think they're ahead of where they were this time last year, and last year they were ahead of where they were the year before. So you can see the program's maturing in how good a shape it's become, or it's getting in routinely. They just keep climbing up the ladder a little bit at a time. Of course, at this time of year, they're also trying to acclimate the freshmen, and those guys, their head spinning mentally, and I think they're not used to these workouts. There's not really anything you can do to prepare for college workouts after doing high school workouts. It's just a different animal. So acclimating the freshmen and getting the other guys in August shape is what the goal is right now.
Mentioning the non-early enrollee freshmen that showed up for the first time this summer, are there any specific names you're hearing more than others?
There are always guys that stand out a little bit more at the beginning. There's a few different reasons that could be. A lot of times it's confidence. Usually when you hear about confidence in these players, that's a good sign. They're the alpha in high school, but it doesn't always translate immediately. Sometimes guys are a little bit intimidated by, the sights and sounds and, being the young guy in the room. Other guys, like Derek Williams showed up. If you got a nickname like the Raptor, you better not show up timid. And he didn't. Trevor Goosby's really turned heads with the workouts in the gym. He's strong and explosive, which is not surprising given that he's very good shot put thrower. They really watch the young guys how they lift, and he's one that came in ready to kind of jump in with the upperclassmen right away from a technique standpoint. You hear good things about Ryan Niblett, very fast, already running with the fastest guys. That's not surprising. He ran 10.4 as a junior, but it's good to hear because he was hampered by injury during the track season his senior years. And he's as fast as advertised. Most of them you hear good things about, nothing real negative, but this is all very early for them. We'll see what happens. We'll hear more about them during 7-on-7 and one-on-ones for the edges and the offensive tackles. But really, nothing will matter until August when the pads come on. You can never tell if you're a football player outside of pads.
For sure. And amongst our older players, as the program matures, which players are stepping up to be leaders both on and off the field?
Your best leaders are always going to, or hopefully always going to be your best players. And, you saw that last year with Rashawn Johnson and Bijan Robinson. There's a lot of guys that have very good leadership traits, and they are respected by their teammates, but unless they're, out there producing on Saturdays, doesn't quite hit home the same. But, that's why a guy like Jordan Whittington, what he says carries a lot of weight. What Jalen Ford says carries a lot of weight. Those are two guys that are vocal. They're obviously no strangers to working out. They're in amazing shape. We're hearing good things about Quinn Ewers taking on a little more of a vocal role. One of my good sources says he probably won't truly break out as a leader until he's in the season and probably had a little more success. He kind of has some things to prove to himself, I believe. He knows it's his team. He knows that as he goes, the team's probably going to go. And he is taking that more seriously. A lot of other guys that we've been writing about, Tavondre Sweat has really changed a lot. He's, did a good job of taking Sadir Mitchell under his wing. They have a lot in common being gigantic guys. He's been a good leader. Jake Majors is always mentioned as one of the top leaders on the offense, not just the offensive line. They've got a good leader at pretty much every position. I think Jaron Thompson is mentioned all the time. Barron Sorrell is another one at edge. Been mentioning Barron since he was a freshman. He's one of those guys that had the traits early. Then if he has some success on the team, he's going to be a team leader. And that's exactly what's happened.
That's good. We have guys kind of sprinkled throughout all the position rooms holding guys accountable. And then we have some key players coming off of injury too, and receiver Isaiah Nayer, safety Jalen Catalon, and nickel Jalen Gilbo. Are they going to be full go come fall camp?
It's going to be a very healthy team going into August, unless a couple guys have setbacks or something new happens randomly, playing 7-on-7 or whatever. That would be kind of surprising. But I get asked about Isaiah Nair all the time, and Jalen Catalon the same. But probably Nair more so than anybody because there's so much anticipation that he created when he first arrived on campus. First of all, even before he got to campus, because he had really fun tape at Wyoming, and then he got to campus and he was way more of a well-rounded receiver than I think we anticipated. We were just kind of thinking they got a vertical threat. Had a big spring. Of course, he got hurt. I think August 11th last year. And as the season wore on, I think everybody realized how big of a loss that was. We knew it was a big loss in real time. I basically dropped a game based on it. It really crystallized as they struggled in the passing game. So right now he's healthy. He's back 100%. He does everything other players do. The question's always going to be, does his confidence come back when the pads come on? I tend to think he will, but you want to hear it first before you start making proclamations that he's back. He is back as far as working out. He's healthy. He's moving well, but we want to see him route up some good cornerbacks before we start getting too excited. Jalen Catalon, he's working out with everybody. I don't know if they play today, if he'd be allowed to tackle. I tend to think that they'll be pretty careful with him during August. They might put him in bubble wrap for a while. You'll probably hear about him in a green non-contact jersey. That's just being precautious. They don't feel like they want to get him a lot of reps, right? Because this is they're doing some different things than what he did at Arkansas, but he's such a veteran. He's such a smart football player. They don't think he needs as many reps as the average guy to knock the rust off. So I think they're erring on the side of caution there. We do expect him to be full go. He will be able to tackle in August. It's just a matter of whether or not they want to. I imagine they're going to limit him to probably thud tackling instead of full 100% going after it. Jalen Gilbo, I need to check back on that. The last thing I heard was on him was the expectations where he'd be perfectly fine. And that kind of backs up with Austin Jordan working a lot at corner as opposed to at star. He's worked both, but if they weren't expecting Gilbo back, they would probably be immersing Austin Jordan there full time. So I think we can all expect Gilbo back, and he's going to play a lot of reps, even though Jahdae Barron looks like he's going to be one of the best players on the team.
Good stuff. And then at offensive line, are we all healed up there and ready to run it back with last year's starting five, or does Flood continue to mix and match? And also, you reported Hayden Connor is slimmed down, so does that signal anything like a potential center competition with Majors?
Last November and December, I said that the biggest offseason questions were going to be about Quinn, his dedication, him taking the next step. And, he answered those questions almost in December, during the bowl practices, and then surely during the spring. So now I've moved on. My greatest concern of the season is the offensive line. Now, the good thing is that the floor is there. We know what the floor is. We saw it for 13 games last season because they can easily bring back those 5 starters. The younger guys are going to have to unseat one of those 5 if they want to start. So they're coming back. It's those guys' job to hold on to, but it's those other guys' job to come in and take. Neto Umeozulu's going to compete. DJ Campbell's going to compete. He'll be healthy in spring. I know he had a wrist issue. We're not worried about that holding him back. But right now, Cole Hudson's back at right guard. Hayden Connor is at left guard. Hayden Connor has slimmed down. Hayden's always been an interesting one to me. I've known him since he's 8th grade. I've seen him very big, and I've seen him very slim, more athletic looking. And right now, he's more on that athletic side of it. I do wonder if Kyle Flood's thinking about maybe trying him at center in August. He does like to tinker. And like you said, he does have a floor he can return to. He can always run back the same 5. So if you have that, then you should experiment with as many different combinations as possible. Maybe that includes trying him at center. We know he was looking at Junior Angelo there last season before Angelo got hurt. So, he likes to be big across the front. But I don't think it's going to work out because I think Jake Majors is tough to unseat. And like we said, he's a very respected leader. But I do think that Hayden Connor's going to get a look at center. But that also enables the younger guys to get looks at guards. So you're kind of killing 2 birds with one stone.
All right, cool. And then a wider view now. Team sources have felt confident in this group's potential this season, but how does that compare to confidence levels the prior 2 years?
I mean, there's no doubt there's more confidence in Moncrief right now. Steve Sarkisian isn't really shy about sharing how much improved he thinks his team is. He was out on the speaking circuit in May, and each town he had kind of the same message that they're more talented, they're more experienced, and they're just better. And a lot of other sources have mentioned the continuity on the defensive side of the ball. Last year's defensive effort compared to the first one especially inspires a lot of confidence. So I think they have the right to be confident. You can measure how improved the whole program is by who they've targeted in the portal each year. The first year was like all hands on deck. Anybody that are looking for glue guys, anybody that could just fill a role. They needed anybody live body at all. The next year they got a lot better. They had some hits or misses. They had to take a couple gambles. Jai Hall and Jaleel Billingsley, they were more lotto tickets. This year they didn't take any lotto tickets. They just picked up guys that could start. So the roster has drastically improved. We know the defense took to the scheme a lot better last year than the year prior. They're going to be even more experienced this year. Yours is going to be more experienced, and they have a lot of firepower. I mean, that wide receiver room is going to look night and day from last year. Jatavian Sanders was an unknown this time last year. Now he's everybody knows what to expect out of him. So I think they're right to they've got like we just talked about the offensive line. They've got 5 guys that started all 13 games returning. So I think they're right to have their confidence they have. Vegas is high on them. The metrics were high on them. outside of their win total last year. So I mean, there's good reason to be confident on Texas. I know there's a lot of trepidation with the fans because of the lost decade, and they've been beaten up so many times psychologically. But if it's not this year, then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, what more advantages do you need in year 3 to make something happen? And all right, brother, thank you so much for the update. Please let the viewers know where to stay in tune with all things Texas football.
Yeah, come to InsideTexas.com. It's message boards. I understand why people stay away from them, but you're on YouTube. You know, right now you're on Twitter, so we're a lot better as a higher IQ society than either of those places. You could find Homer there. We have all kinds of content. I think we had 300 articles last month. We'll probably have 400 in August, so you're not going to run out of material to read. So it's definitely worth your time to check us out.
And that's a wrap on Eric Nahlin. Head over to Inside Texas and sign up today. Thanks for hanging out. Watch some more of my videos here. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you want to support quality Texas content. As always, hook 'em.